Hi, folks. You should already know that resolving old proofs is essential practice to getting better. Well, here's a proof that you should know how to do. How do you deal with the negation wide scope around a quantifier? Pause your videos now and work this proof out. Okay, let's talk about the answer. Of course, if you couldn't do this proof, then you absolutely need to watch this video. If you could do this proof, then great. You can just check the answer really quickly and keep moving. Doing these proofs over and over again will reinforce those mental operations and allow you to solve more complex proofs when you encounter these same patterns. So the first thing that you have to do here is start a reductio. You cannot primitively deal with this pattern of negation around a universal quantifier. It's too annoying, it's too difficult. But our existential conclusion does give us a clue. If we do a reductio here, because of course there is nothing else you can do, there are no other premises, then we get a negation sign wide scope around an existential. And that is the pattern that you need to know how to do and that we talk about in the course materials. So what do we do for this? Well, next you need to box a constant. This is the thing to do after you deal, in order to deal with the negation wide scope around an existential. How would you know to box a constant here? This is the sense in which this move on line 3 is not as obvious as the move on line 2. I think starting a reductio is clearly required. But how would you know to do this next? You have this big blank canvas. When you're staring at this, there's all this blank space. What tells you what to do next? The only way you can figure out what to do next on line 3 is by thinking from the backwards. What do you want down here in order to get this proof to go? Because that tells you you need a contradiction symbol here to finish the reductio. And how do you get this contradiction symbol? It's always from building up this thing up here from the inside. You might say, what about building number 2 from the inside? And I would tell you, well, you're jumping the gun. That's too fast. If you could just prove that sentence here, you could have just proved it down here. So why deal with all this rigmarole with the subproofs? So the thing we're building up here to get the contradiction, in a sense, we assume the opposite of this. We know it contradicts the opposite of it, but it is the opposite of it. The thing that contradicts the opposite of our conclusion is our original premise. That's the issue. That's the thing that we have to make appeal to in order for this proof to actually work. So that's in a sense how I know that it's the universal quantifier that gets that I'm building from the inside out here, rather than the existential quantifier. And of course, once you get this far, once you see that it's a universal quantifier you need, then now hopefully the light bulbs go off and you know exactly why I'm putting A in a box up here. It's because this is how we do universal intro. Once I'm trying to prove a universal quantifier, now we're on familiar ground again, and we know how to proceed. The structure of the proof tells us what to do now. The main connectives are plenty of guide, because I need to box a constant, make A totally arbitrary, and then prove it as property P, because that's how I do prove universally quantified sentences. Now, at this point, again, we're sort of stuck. So hopefully reductio will occur to you, or just the fact that you've seen this before and you know reductio is a good idea. Or thirdly, you know we're going to build this one from the inside out. We didn't do it down here. That would have been the wrong place, but we're going to have to do it somewhere. And of course, you see that there's a negation in front of P there. So again, noticing some of these patterns would help you make progress there. Once you make that connection between lines 2 and 4, you see where we're going. We need to build a structure that's similar to line 2 out of this. So I just do existential intro. Of course, now the rest of the proof's just going to fall into place. That's my contradiction between 2 and 5. Now I'm just going to roll through all the justifications here. Negation intro for that line, universal intro, contradiction intro, and here's your complete proof. Okay, thanks.